to show you guys something quick that proved the indigenous people of the Americas was actually the Black people of America, the Caribbean, West Indies, the Afro Latinos, and the South Americans. So I'm using the United States right now, and I'll show other examples later of other places throughout the Americas in another video. But in this article from 1877, it says, "Are civilized Indians?" It says the population of the Indian Territory is about 77,000. This is the total population that they are counting at the time of Indians who went on the Trail of Tears, whether by force or they went ahead of time by choice and migrated on their own so they wouldn't have to be forcibly removed or go to war with the United States. And it says the wild Indians by blood, called blanket Indians, who do not cultivate the soil, are the Osages, Cheyennes, Arapahoes, Kiowas, and Pawnees in number 20,000. The wild Indians, also known as blanket Indians, are the Native Americans as well as some other Aboriginal Black tribes who still did the old ways, the old customs. So blanket Indian means you wore the costume of an Indian. And it says those mixed with the whites and partly civilized are the Cherokees, Creeks, Seminoles, Choctaws, and Chickasaws. And further down, now remember, the Native Americans and some of the Black Aboriginals um, are considered 20,000 out of the 77,000. There are also a lot of Black Indians who are Negroes. Altogether, these number 55,000. So that is the rest of the 77,000, not including 2,000, which I am going to assume at this time was the white people who married into the tribe because they didn't have a chance to buy their way into the tribe yet, not until later. But here it's saying that the Black Indians, which are the five civilized tribes, because I'm going to read it again, those mixed with the whites and partly civilized are the Cherokees, Creeks, Seminoles, Choctaws, and Chickasaws. I'm going to skip down, and it says there are also a lot of Black Indians who are Negroes. Now, mind you, they're saying this because first they're going to mention the mulattoes, and they're describing what the mulattoes would be called, which is a squaw, which is a derogatory term now. And after that, it says, after it mentions the mulattoes, it says there are also a lot of Black Indians who are Negroes. Altogether, these number 55,000. So that's majority of the population of Indians that were on the Trail of Tears. And these were not former slaves. These were not freedmen. It says, besides these, there are 65,000 Negro citizens of the United States, formerly slaves of the Chickasaws. They do not rank as Indians while a Black Indian does. Now, mind you, when Indians would go to war with each other, they would enslave the prisoners of war. And they would adopt them into the tribe. Now, a few years later, I would say about maybe 16 years later, 17 years later, in this census that after they created the Dawes Commission, this census right here shows that the Indians are still close to 50,000 and the mulattoes has jumped up greatly, and so has the white citizens of the tribes. The white citizens outnumber the Indians. How does that happen? But I'm showing this because here the five civilized tribes are Black Indians and they number 55,000. And in the population of the five civilized tribes, and this comes from the Department of the Interior, U.S. Census Office, they say the same thing. The Indians, the ones who are considered by blood and not mulattoes, they're not considered mixed, are 50,000. They just took off the word black, but they are 50,000. And the other thing I'm going to show as well is it talks about how a serious difficulty was met in the answer, and this is the same book, to Are You an Indian? Under the laws of the five tribes or nations of the Indian Territory, a person, white in color and features, is frequently an Indian, being so by remote degree of blood or by adoption. There are many whites now resident claiming to be Indians whose claims have not as yet been acted upon by the nations. Negroes are frequently met who speak nothing but Indian languages and are Indians by tribal law and custom, and others are met who call themselves Indian, who have not yet been so acknowledged by the tribes. These circumstances necessarily produce some confusion as to the number of Indians separately designated. However, the total population as given is correct. Now, there's some other things that I'm going to show in a much longer video. I have to cut it down. But also, it says here how the Negroes are among, actually, let me start up here. The Creek Nation is an alert and active one, which is largely due to the Negro element, which fairly controls it. In the Choctaw Nation, it is unaliving for an Indian to intermarry with a Negro. In any of the five tribes where the Negroes have a fair chance, there is a perceptible progress due to them. The Negroes are among the earnest workers in the five tribes. The Creek Nation affords the best example of Negro progress. The principal chief, virtually a Negro, comes of a famous family in Creek Annals. His name is Lequest Choteau Perryman. He was born in the Creek Nation, Indian Territory, March 1st, 1838. Educated at Tallahassee Mission of the same nation, enlisted in the Union Army in Kansas, November 1862, and was mustered out as sergeant of the 1st Regiment Indian Home Guards in 1865. He served as a district judge of the Coweta District, Muskogee Nation 6 years. Was elected to the council and served 13 years. He was elected principal chief and inaugurated December 5th, 1887 for the term of 4 years. So, when they started the Dawes Commission, the chief was still black. But there is a book from 1904 where the Creek chief turned white. So I'm going to stop right here for now. I'm going to make a second video to show you guys some more. But yeah, the government lied. They stole the land from us. They genocided our people. They erased who we were. They kidnapped our little ones because it's easier to erase their culture and language and identity if you assimilate them while they're young. And then the white people who assimilated into the tribes or bought their way into the tribes through the Dawes Commission worked with the government to then push us out and kick us out of the tribes, and then stole all of the money and benefits that was supposed to go to our people that did decide to go west, while the rest of our people, according to this document from 1843, got erased out of history, because it says, if they should be induced to accede to the flattering offers which are so industriously presented to their view, a few more fleeting years will probably join their name in memory with those of which are no longer known except on the historian's page. And the winner of the war is the one who got to write history.